survivors, thrivers, and healers. I am Nitert Asad, founder of Thrivers Inspired Healing, and today I will be speaking on my personal journey with lupus and end-stage renal disease. Just to give a little bit of my health background, I was always considered a very healthy individual, very physically fit, always physically active, as well as eating as best as I could, going to regular doctor's appointments, as well as taking regularly scheduled vaccines. Prior to going to college, I did take the meningitis vaccine. A month into my experience with college, I did start noticing that I was experiencing a lot of joint pain in my hands, in my wrists, elbows, hips, as well as my jaw. I found myself very lethargic and just all over my body, just achiness. And as I had mentioned, I was a very healthy individual, so to experience those things were very concerning to me. I did go to the doctor. I told him everything that happened with my experience, how I was feeling, and he ran some tests and it was confirmed that it was indeed lupus. And I was like, well, what's that? Because I've never heard of it before, didn't know anyone who had it, and if they did, they never, talked about it or anything. So it was a very foreign concept to me. And he just said, simply put, that it is when your immune system is attacking your own body. And I was like, okay, that is really weird. The concept is crazy. Like, what's up with that? So I said, well, is there a cure for it? And he was like, no, I'm sorry, there is no cure for it. And we talked about causes, and he mentioned it could be environmental, it could be genetic, whatever the case is. In my family, nobody has it. Nobody has ever been, diagnosed with lupus. And so I was like, all right. So they put me on prednisone and Plaquenil, also known as hydroxychloroquine. So I was on that medicine for a little while, about 4 months before, and during those 4 months, I was continuing to experience some of those symptoms, including some hair loss, as well as a little bit of weight loss. I did start to feel better after a while. I wasn't having all those crazy symptoms. So, like I said, 4 months, I went to the bathroom and I noticed that I had blood in the urine. And I was very alarmed by that. And so I called the doctor and he was like, don't panic. I will refer you to a nephrologist and we'll go from there. So the nephrologist is the kidney doctor. I went to that appointment and some more tests were run and it was confirmed that the lupus was, the immune system was attacking the kidneys. And I was like, oh my goodness, So then my diagnosis then was lupus nephritis. I was given an immunosuppressive medicine called Cellcept, also known as mycophenolate. And I took the medicine in addition to the other prednisone and Plaquenil. And I was feeling a little better. I did gain some weight back, hair stopped falling out. And so I noticed about a month after that I was having trouble walking to class. I had trouble straightening my leg. I wasn't able to move as quickly or at my normal walking pace as usual. And it was a pain in the back of my left knee. So I called the doctor and I told him what was going on. And he said, well, I will refer you to an ultrasound technician. I went to the ultrasound technician. She did the ultrasound behind the left knee and she said, don't move. There is a blood clot there. I was like, oh my goodness. All right, so I ended up going to the hospital. They ran some more tests. They checked my blood levels and they said, we're going to have to admit you. I was admitted, and the treatment that they did give me, they gave me the medicines that I was already taking, in addition to heparin, which is a blood thinner, and they were heparin shots. So I had to get one shot in the morning on one side of my belly and another on the other side in the evening on the other side of my belly, as well as being given Coumadin, which is another blood thinner. So I was on 2 blood thinners, and I was in the hospital for a week before they decided it was okay for me to go home. I was no longer taking the heparin shots, of course, but I had to continue on the Coumadin, and I continued with the other medicines. Eventually, I was no longer on the Plaquenil, so I was on the prednisone and the Cellcept, as well as the Coumadin. At some point, I was taken off the Coumadin, I think after 5 years of being on it. I was taken off, so I was only on the Cellcept and the prednisone. And 6 years after being in the hospital, I did start to notice that I was swelling up all over. I thought maybe it was something to do with the lupus, or it was getting active again, or whatever the case is. I ended up going to the hospital, and they ran some tests on me, and the nephrologist at that hospital, which was a completely different hospital that I was used to, it was out of my home state that I have been accustomed to. And the nephrologist said that your kidney creatinine level is at a 7. And I already knew what that meant. So I was like, all right. So I was admitted, and so they started me on a saline drip, and I was on that saline drip for like 3 days. So I had 3 days of saline drip. I had 3 days of saline drip, and I just ended up gaining all this fluid weight. Kidneys were not trying to remove any of the excess fluid, any excess buildup wastes that the body just naturally produces that typically, when with good functioning kidneys, it would flush out. And so they said, okay, we have to start you on dialysis treatments. I was given a perm cath, or a catheter that was put in the chest, and it does reach into the heart, like a direct blood supply, very close to the heart. And that's where they had began the dialysis treatments. So I was given treatment every day, a couple hours every day for a few days in a row, until they were able to remove some fluids and the excess toxins and waste that were building up. However, the lupus was still haywire, and so they decided, after adjusting for the medicines that I was already used to, it really wasn't working out. So then they put me on Rituxan, which is like another drip medicine that's put through IV, and that wasn't working. The lupus was still out of control, and my hemoglobin, my blood levels were not good. They were still very low. And so I was like, okay, I felt like there was a lot of incompetence in that hospital. I did my best to try to stay on top of everything that they were giving me. So I would request different inserts of different medicines that I was given, so I can really understand what's going on, how things work, and all that stuff. And so I was like, you know what, I got to go to the hospital with doctors that really know me, know how to work with me. And so I did. I ended up going back to my home state and went to the hospital there, and then they started a treatment called plasmapheresis. Now, plasmapheresis is simply when the plasma in your blood is being removed and replaced by donor plasma. So that treatment worked well for me. It was a very interesting time to get that treatment, because I had to do dialysis treatments also. So it was one day plasma, the next day dialysis, another day plasma. So it was like back and forth until eventually I started to get better. And I had a total number of 8 plasmapheresis treatments. So after doing those treatments and I felt better, I continued with my journey on the dialysis treatments. I've been able to handle it just fine. So I've overall been feeling really healthy. Lupus has been super quiet for years. I have not experienced all the crazy symptoms that I had before. My only issue has been regaining my weight back. When I started the dialysis treatment, I had lost 20 pounds. I've only been able to regain 5 pounds. So I'm still working on it. So I've been hovering at about 100 pounds. And for someone my age, 34 years old, 100 pounds is not considered a healthy weight. So still working on that. But other than that, I am doing my best to adhere to the recommended renal diet, the renal eating regimen, which is you have to reduce salt intake, you have to reduce potassium intake, so nothing with like really dark green leafy veggies, not too much of that. I can still have it, but not a lot. No, lots of bananas, lots of potatoes, can't do that. Avocados, I love avocados. I can't be eating them all. I can have a little every so often. Phosphorus, same thing. I have to reduce phosphorus intake, so things like not too many cheeses or milks, and other things of that nature. Potatoes, they also have a lot of phosphorus, so just certain foods that I can only have the very minimal amount of. Now, the thing with dairy is that I have found that it has helped me tremendously to just get rid of it, period. Especially when it comes to the whole lupus thing. I have found if I drink a glass of milk or whatever, I will begin to experience a lot of those lupus symptoms, especially pain in the joints. Like that would be my first, I ate something that I wasn't, that doesn't agree with my immune system for whatever reason, it activates it. So staying away from dairy has been a great help for me. And so I also do exercise regularly. I do yoga regularly. I also do a little bit of cardio, like speed walking or some sort of exercise at home. So I do things to help to stay healthy and to keep my body as in balance as possible. And also to reduce the amount of stress out, social stress or any sort of stress, to keep it out of my life or to keep it at bay, because the less stress the better. And that also plays a role with people with lupus or any sort of illness at all. I mean, it does take a toll on your health, your physical health overall, as well as your mental health. So I hope that you have found this information helpful. Please do subscribe, as I will be sharing more videos on things that I do to remain healthy. Please remember to always stay active in your self-care. It is important to do the best that you can to stay healthy. All right. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day and take care.